Welcome to Rise Above and Flourish with Francine Mashabela on Zoe Live Radio.
Well, hello to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Rise Above and Flourish with me, Francine Mashabela. And I hope you're excited because I am. And if you can grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, please do so. Well, maybe tea or coffee is not your thing, then whatever it is, even if it's just a glass of water, do grab yourself one because I think that it's going to be a wonderful time. We're going to have a wonderful time today. Once again, Rise Above and Flourish is a show all about edifying you. It's about inspiring you. It's about giving you a bit of a nudge in the right direction and reminding you once again that God has a purpose for your life and you need to be where He has positioned you, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the life experiences that we have in life, whatever obstacles that we face, we're still able to push forward, to rise above, to be better, to be stronger, to be wiser. And we see that in the various people that we interview on this show. So today is no different. I am so excited and honored to be joined by Mtogo Shange. He is the founder of Imbizo Foundation. And I must tell you, when I met Mtogo for the first time, it was at a networking event called KZN Women in Business. And I remember he was speaking there. I just knew that I needed to meet this guy who was such an inspiration. And he was able to just speak to the hearts of everyone in the room. Mtogo, what an honor to have you today. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing good, Sissy, and I'm excited for this. I remember when you mentioned this last year, and I was just crossing my fingers. I hope I make it to your guest list. So,
of course, you're on the guest list. I wouldn't miss it for the world. But I mean, it's such an honor. Thank you for making the time to be with us today on Rise Above and Flourish. Now, I went to your website earlier, just to do a bit of research. And like I said to you earlier on, you are described as an intuitive, perceptive leader who speaks to an audience, and you offer, words of wisdom. And I mean, I've seen you in action. I can totally agree to that. But then for someone who doesn't know Mtogo out there, would you please just tell them about Mtogo Shange? Who are you?
Oh, wow. Mtogo is sure. Born and bred in Hammersdale, Mpumalanga Township, to a family of 6. So 3 siblings, 2 big brothers and a younger sister. And later on, my dad passed away, and 2 years ago, my mother passed away. But yeah, I could say I was raised in a home where there's, strong women around me. So in every experience that I have experienced and the journey I've walked, I can accredit who I am today, one, to God, and secondly, the women that were around me, including my mom. So I'm a glorified mama's boy.
Glorified mama's boy. I do have to say I am sorry for your loss. And I do remember a couple of years back, although I didn't know your mom personally, but I remember that you spoke very highly of her and just about some of the lessons that you've learned from your mom that shaped you to be the man that you are today. Would you maybe care to share one or two of those lessons or maybe memories that you have of your mom, being a glorified mama's boy? Of course.
So one thing earlier in life, like any, it's township boy, township girl, we almost share a similar narrative because of the background we're coming from and the past and the injustice of this country, where, so an African suffered extreme poverty and certain prejudice, and one looks for role models or looks for hope in the place of chaos. And most likely for an African child, so where you lack role models outside, you eventually find them inside in your home. where you look at a mother who's a domestic worker, so earning 150 rand a week. Even back then, it was even less, so earning 100 rand a week and sending, four kids to school and feeding them with 100 rand.
Wow.
So I used to think my mom was really a magician. Reason being, we would still go to school, we would have clothes, and then from time to time we would have food with 100 rand.
It's amazing. I think when I hear this type of story, I tend to wonder how in the world, did she do that?
How, so and that's for me. I was like, these days they call that entrepreneurship. So what I saw was just love, taking what you have, and try and multiply it. And, so this time, my mother would tell us that I just got paid, and she would show us this 100 rand or 150 rand, but you're not going to eat for 3 days. And as kids, we're like, what? You just got paid. Why we can't have bread? Because I'm going to take this money and go buy veggies and sell them and make a profit. So then I can feed you for the next 3 weeks.
That's
so
incredible.
We always had to sacrifice. 1 week, of the month where we won't eat. So then my mother could turn that money into profits, So those are some of the examples where someone is thinking ahead of themselves and saying, look, I got a legacy here. I got a generation here. So for me, that's when crying was okay when I was growing up.
Wow.
But getting up and doing something about it. So I would wake up in the middle of the night, my mother is crying. During the day, she's working. So those are the things that she allowed herself to be a human being at night and let it all out. So sometimes she'll be outside the house around 1 a.m. marching and crying and praying. And then during the day, she'll, focus and just work. So for me, that element of actually it's okay to cry, growing up as a man doesn't cry. And I was like, oh, that's nonsense. I've seen my hero cry. Yeah. So I developed a habit of now joining her in the middle of the night and praying with her and marching with her and cried all out and during the day put in the work. So that's why I say, I'm a glorified mother's boy because she was just my hero, So there's, I look at all the people who inspire me, but the first inspiration was in the house before it was outside of the house.
Yeah, I'm just blown away. I mean, from what you have said, here was your mother, just an incredibly strong woman who didn't just cry about something, but then she was industrious, she was resourceful, and she took the little that she had and multiplied it. And when I see Togo today, although I can't say that I've known you for a very long time, but I see that in you. I see that resourceful, the industrious person. But it's not just about being industrious or resourceful for you. It's also about just being intentional and living a life of purpose, just going out there and doing something that for you are driven by purpose. When did that start happening for you, where it wasn't just about being resourceful or putting food on the table or doing something, but it was about making a difference, making a mark wherever, whatever spaces that you are in?
Well, yeah, as I said, so one of the things as well, beside my mom being my hero, and she was actually a hero in the community. When there was someone who was sick, she was there. When there was someone who needs help, she was there. You think someone who grew up in poverty, they will keep whatever they have for themselves. She would come back at home with a loaf, and then a neighbor would knock and say, a loaf of bread, and then a neighbor will knock and say, hey, we are hungry. Suddenly the loaf is half, it's given to a neighbor. So I realized that business in itself, entrepreneurship in itself, being industrial in itself, if it's not transforming the world around you, it's useless.
Okay, pause. So business in itself, if it's not transforming the world around you, then it's useless.
It is useless. The riches, we don't take them to the grave. They are meant to transform what you have. It's even not money, your gifts it's not just for you. If you're gifted, you have a voice to sing. You know, and you can start by doing idols because you want to make a living. But now there's $1 million in your bank balance. You no longer struggle with money. You got to find a reason beyond the money. Because sooner or later, you know, whoever is listening, your bank balance will be different.
Yeah.
I tell you now, it will never remain negative. The day that money is in, what else would you be living for? Because now you take that goal of not going to bed without sleeping without food.
There has to be meaning. There has to be meaning to what you do. There has to
be more. So for me, I saw my mother saying, okay, cool. So I have this money and I'm working. Yes, I'm feeding my kids. But it was not just for us. She extended that loaf of bread to somebody else. You know, so, and as a result, when we were hungry and that neighbor was no longer hungry, guess what? We would eat at that neighbor's house.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, apologies for the background. My office is close to the taxi rank. So for me, that really inspired me. That riches in themselves, they're not fulfilling.
Yeah.
But the reason why you acquire, the reason why you have what you have must be bigger than you. So that's when I was like, okay, the reason being, I saw my mom being happy with that a lot. And then I noticed I started as a young man gauging when my mom has a big smile is when she comes back home and we're eating. And second is when she goes to somebody's house and praying or giving somebody salt. I looked at her face as she gave half of it and she was beaming. I was like, wow, she makes giving look like fun. So, and I knew I wanted to have money, you know, so I can help those who can't. But if I don't have money, I knew I wanted to be available for other people. I knew I wanted to be present and making a difference in people's lives. But I had to start by transforming myself so I can give out of the abundance. You know, so they say we do export, we cannot export what we do not produce. You know, so German is giving us a lot of Mercedes-Benz and BMWs because they produce them. So they have plenty of them. So therefore they can give us more. So, and I saw the infection that my mom did around my community of joy. And everybody who encountered her had a smile because she was full of joy. She was giving out of the abundance, not the abundance of money, but the abundance of who she is. So that woman knew who she was outside of finances. And for me, I was like, this is going to save me a headache and pain, you know, so if I do not chase money. So money is the means to an end, you know, so I look at money as a hammer, as one of the tools in my toolbox to achieve a certain task.
Yeah, and to have an impact on your community, on your environment, doing what you feel you've been called to do.
Yeah. Yes. So that's for me, that's why I said, you know, I didn't want, you know, your audience to be surprised when I refer to my mother a lot, when I said, because most of my lesson and my upbringing and what you call entrepreneurship today, I didn't know what it was. And I saw it at home, you know, so, and then I stumbled with these fancy terms now when I'm grown up. That's actually the best academic and the best degree I've ever learned and acquired was shadowing my mother.
Wow, I like that. Shadowing your mom. So it basically what's happening, what we are seeing here is a generational legacy, and you are carrying on that legacy that your mom just passed on to you.
Definitely, that's how I would say it, you know. So I always say, you know, I do have dreams and visions and things that I want to attain, but what is more important is a legacy. You know, so what I do today must last me at least 3 generations. So I'm always legacy driven. So that word is dear to me, you know, so that if I cannot pass on millions to my grandkids, but I need to pass on something that will sustain them.
Yeah.
So that's why I do what I do. So I'm in a legacy mode. So because right now I'm talking about the things that were passed on to me. So the legacy was instilled young.
Yeah. So you're talking about things that were passed on to you, which, we're talking about legacy. That is awesome. And I happen to know that you are Mtobashange, but you also, one of the main things that inspires you to keep going today is obviously a beautiful wife and your 2 kids. And I also know that before the current Togo, I remember you telling your story a little bit. Where you almost got on the wrong path and, you somehow you just got back. Please just touch on that a little bit and how that, that just started a transformation in you to be the person that you are today.
Yeah. And, human beings we are creatures of association. We always like to be in cliques. We always like to be in associations. So when you grow up, you look around and you see people that you like to associate with.
Yeah.
I had a problem of wanting to be cool when I was growing up.
So does every young person.
I just wanted to be super cool.
Yeah.
So I noticed in my days, the cool people didn't like school. Didn't like wearing school uniform. They'll wear Converse instead of a school uniform.
Oh my goodness.
And every girl just like gravitated towards them.
Yeah.
I just wanted girls to look at me the same way as they were looking at Sipo. And I'm looking at C4, he's got swag. I could swear he was walking in slow motion, and then I could see these girls going like this, turning around.
Stars in their eyes.
Oh my goodness. Then I was like, I want to be dancing. I really want to be the Denzel Washington of my school too.
Oh, wow.
So growing up, so I started joining the crew. But I had a problem as well of low self-esteem. So my father used to tell me I'm worthless. Sometimes he wish I was never been born. So that hit me. He said, if there's anyone who will end up in jail, it would be me. So because I used to shoplift. Oh, like, friend, if I pass by you, something will disappear. Yeah, they used to call me Houdini. Do you know a magician Houdini?
That part I didn't know.
How now to make things disappear. Oh, wow. I'll walk in a shop, I'll get out with something I haven't paid for. Easy.
Wow.
So, and then my dad would see those habits, but I was trying to feed my mom, I was trying to support all, So then I quickly ended up joining the crowd that was doing the same thing, and then they were popular. So as a result, so I started joining around grade 9. That's where things went south. So I wanted girls to like me. So then I joined the crew. They said I must buy a Converse. Well, I shoplifted enough money, enough things to sell. And then I got money to buy my first Converse, and I rock at school, moving with swag. And they told me that, something is missing. So you need to lose weight a little bit.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to gym. They're like, no, gym takes too long. Puff and pass, Baba. They gave me weed.
Oh, wow.
It's going to quickly sort you out. So I started smoking weed and I started losing weight. But they never told me how to quit.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So everything started going down there.
It went south from there.
Yeah, I'm addicted in weed. So that means everything now is taking a back foot.
Wow.
Mind you, even at school, I'm not that good. So I bunk school, I go shoplifting, I go do this and I go do this. And I remember at grade 9, teachers had to have a meeting, to discuss about me if they push me to the next class, because there's this sudden change they don't understand. And they called me to a meeting and I was a liar. I started crying and saying, things are bad at home. They were bad, but I know I wasn't bad because of home.
You made choices,
I had a good foundation from my mother, even though my dad was not the ideal father. But my mom was solid. It was a solid woman, and I was taught everything that I need to learn as a young man. So I started making up lies, and I cried crocodile tears, and then I got conditional transfer to grade 10. So those were the things when you actually want to be like somebody else, so, and at that age, I haven't understood, and I haven't come up with this concept of what I call today original design.
Wow.
So I believe that everybody's an original design. So it is your journey and your life mission to find out your original design. So when they design phones, they say this phone has a patent. They go legally. Samsung owns the patent of this Galaxy. The original design of this Galaxy belongs to Samsung. And I believe that human beings have an original design, and they have a function as this phone. So if anything is not going good in your life, go back to the source, to the manufacturer. Original design. So I haven't figured out those concepts of original design, that everything in this planet Earth has an original design. If anything is going wrong, go to the manufacturer. So therefore, because I didn't know my original design, I went and asked other people about my life.
Sure. And you believed what they said.
I believed what they said. I believed their insecurities they spoke over me. I believed everything. So which is why I say always be careful, be careful what you see, and what you hear, because that's what you're gonna believe, and what you believe is gonna be what you become, and what you become is your character, and your character is your reputation. So it starts just with what you see. I saw Sipho being cool, and I wanted
to be like that.
So be careful what you look at.
I find that this is exactly what a lot of us go through. I mean, I know that I also looked up to some people, and I wished that I looked like them, that I was as cool or was as street smart as them. And that really, if you're not careful, or if a person is not careful, they can actually take a wrong turn. Can I just ask him, Togo, what changed for you? I mean, as a young man, when you wanted to be like Sipho, or you wanted to be the Denzel Washington in your location, and I mean, you were being caught lying and just doing all these things that you were not supposed to do. What was the turning point that just orchestrated the transformation that took place in your life?
The turning point was rather sad. I remember, I remember that things escalated because wanting to be cool and look nice, wear cool clothes, escalated to gangs. And clans.
I didn't know you.
So now I was part of a crew. So there's a territory I couldn't go to, because so you affiliate with someone, that means you adopt all their habits. So when you choose a friend, yes, you choose a friend, but you choose their habits sometimes, and you inherit their enemies. And you inherit their friends too. So that is life. So one choice of choosing a person, you choosing a partner in life, you inherit everything that they got. That's why
you're trying to belong. You're trying to just be, You
inherit their tribe, so their friends become your friends. And then guess what? Their enemies become your enemies too. So what happened is, like, my turning point is when the guys, who were affiliating with this guy, so now became my enemies, and then I have to stand up like a man too, started carrying guns, so at one point they caught me alone, and they had machetes, they had guns, every weapon you can think of that will end someone. And I was alone. And no friends, no Sipho on site.
There was no one to save you.
My post was gone. No one to save me. I had just 3 people. Me, myself, and I. That was just me. That's no one. I was like, okay, this is real. I'm dying today. You know, when you look in them, they were in a taxi, and you just count 5 of them was around 15, 14. 5 of them, you know they are murders. Some of them you've witnessed they are murders, and you knew exactly you were dying.
So what you're telling me is, when you were growing up, you know you have been in that environment where you have witnessed violence to that extent.
Yes, for me, seeing a dead person is when I was in primary. In Hammersdale, there was this ANC and IFP violence. Jumping on the dead corpse was normal. So, hey, careful, there's a dead person there. You know, don't go that routes. You know, I just saw somebody's head. You know, so I hope your show is age restriction, because that was my environment. So seeing someone die or someone murdering someone, for me, had become a norm in Hammersdale.
Wow.
So I've seen, and the people who were after me, I've seen them do stuff. So I knew this was the day I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So I watched too much movies. I watch, and I knew in the gangster movies, I loved Denzel Washington. No gangster die quiet. I knew I had to say something. Okay. So I was like,
I'm looking forward to that.
Guns and the machetes, and then they get out of the text, they circle me. They're like, what do you have to say for yourself now? I was like, oh, I'm glad they asked. I was peeing my pants by that time. I was like, hold up.
I can imagine.
Before you hit me, I need you to know this. If I survive this, there's going to be mass graves tomorrow. You all gonna die. You better make sure I'm dead today. I've never killed a soul. I've never stabbed someone. I just watch too much movies.
What made you say that though? What were you hoping to achieve?
I was hoping that they would believe me. So, because they know the people I've rolled with, they've killed. So I was hoping that they'll associate those murders to me as well, so they'll be scared.
Oh, and run away.
Yeah, I've never even stabbed someone with a pen. You know? So like my victims were just cockroaches at home and mosquitoes. But I had to show this bravado, but I was scared.
Yeah.
So I just said, whatever you do, you better make sure that I'm dead, because tomorrow there's going to be less graves. And they knew I had a gun. I had my first gun when I was 14. So they knew I had a gun, but I've never used it on anyone. So, but when they hear what my crew has done, they think I'm part of those. So to my surprise, they moved back. Wow. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's working.
I'm saying something right.
Okay. I say it again now with confidence. If you touch me, scratch me, if I end up just bleeding and not dying, it's your funeral tomorrow. They move again. They walked me for 1 kilometer at least to my house. Nobody touched me, no murderers.
Wow.
What happened? They were not scared of me. 5 years later, I'm following this girl because she loves God and I'm pretending to love God. I go to a crusade because of a girl I like. You know.
Once again, trying to be Denzel.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, you know, so, you know, it's like, I'm doing all the moves because there's this girl I like and she goes to church. And I go to church. And I got my first prophetic word there.
Oh, wow.
A man says, there's an event you were supposed to die. You know, you will know what that event is. And I remembered. They didn't hear even one word you said. I believe you spoke. Every time you spoke, they heard a lion roaring. They thought they were losing their mind.
Isn't that just incredible?
Every time I spoke, I was not religious at all. They had a lion roaring.
Wow.
And then 5 years later, I found out my mom still believed, you know, to fortune tellers is Angoma. On that day, my mom took a t-shirt and go ask why they didn't kill him. The prophet and the Sangoma said this. The Sangoma said, I'm not supposed to touch that boy of yours. He's already spoken for. They didn't hear a word. They heard a lion roaring. The first time I was introduced to the Lion of Judah is the day I almost died.
I suppose that also speaks to the logo of your foundation, Imbizo Foundation.
You got it.
That is incredible. So
that logo is just roaring over the nation. That's the symbol.
That. I think that's amazing. Now, obviously, here you are at a crusade. Can I just check? Was this the time when you gave your life to Jesus?
It was almost the time. So this was not your normal crusade. It was run by missionaries. So they were running life skills. They were running computer course. You know, where there's education, there's girls.
Yeah.
So boys will gravitate. There's a free course. They're not going for a free course. They know there will be a lot of girls. Girls and academics. So in our class, those missionaries, we had around 265 young people. Out of the 265, I guarantee you 220 were girls. So we as guys were like, but I didn't know that the people who were teaching us life skills and computer course, they would come prayed up and they were praying for us. So the first time I had a concept of who God is when someone prophesy and I'm like, how is this person knowing who I am and everything about me? My whole file. So I started getting curious because I hated anything spiritual.
Oh, I see.
So I used to call God a rapist because when I was young, at the age of 10, I was sexually abused by a priest. So I never affiliated with God. So again, when I was young, I was supposed to be a traditional healer. So there were things that I was supposed to be sacrificed to some snake. So that didn't appeal to me. So I used to run away a lot. Anything spiritual. When they do events at home that is supposed to be spiritual to help me, I'd run away. When they go to church, I'll run away. So I hated anything spiritual. What drew my attention was that guy who read the whole 1 terabyte of my file. I was like, no way he would know.
Wow.
And it was clean. It didn't want anything from me. And then I started getting curious. It didn't want any money. I didn't leave a cell phone or my sneakers. It just said, hey, there is someone who cares more than you think. The events that has happened, that he was there. Even the event we were ashamed of, that you've never told anyone my abuse, it was not his doing.
Wow.
And I started healing from that.
Yeah.
So when my life changes around, I'm volunteering at the same NGO that we were doing, some crusade and life skills. And I decided to do gardens.
So now you've moved away from the life on the streets. Yeah.
Yep.
You're now even volunteering and you're doing gardening.
Yeah. I had to run away from Hammersdale.
Wow.
Because I was a wanted man and they came at the right time. Free computer course, free life skills. You finish this course, you come and live with us in a boarding house for 3 months.
Yeah.
I was like, a thugs from Hammersdale, they'll never find me in Hillcrest. So I was just hiding around the corner.
Yeah.
So I even went there for the wrong reason. So on that day, so I think it was my second week with them. I just been working hard, maintaining the gardens, and I went for lunch. And then I ate and I stuffed myself because, I've never seen so much food. We're in Hillcrest, it's a buffet. And then I fall asleep, I get tired. So, and then somebody comes and keep on whispering to me.
While you were sleeping, hey, so in a dream?
While I was sleeping. So it's a dormitory we're sharing.
Okay.
So somebody comes, pull a prank on me, they whisper to me.
I see, okay.
Ntobo, I'm in deep sleep. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not opening my eyes. And then they speak. All authority has been given to me. So therefore, I'm giving it to you. Go make disciples of all nations And I'm like, who's this poet whispering things to me in my sleep? And I wake up and there's no one.
Wow.
And then I go back to sleep. I think they're hiding. I'm too tired. And they say that 3 times. And I wake up and go to the staff and said, who was waking me up? And the school leader said, nobody went down to the dormitories. We know it was only you.
So you had a God encounter right there.
Somebody kept on repeating a poem on my ear. I didn't know it was a Bible. And they said, you heard the voice of God for the first time. You're supposed to go to the nations. And I laughed so hard. I said, your God smoked weed more than me. I've never been to Umhlanga and you're saying I'm going to go to the nations.
The nations.
So then now I'm understanding the God who speaks directly. So
and I mean, if we think about that moment when you heard him speak to you and you get a directive, go to the nations, fast track to where you are right now and the work that you're doing. I mean, I know that you have actually gone to the nations and you continue to impact on people and just people's lives positively, building and just helping them to become better and to do better. Right? Can you tell us a bit about the life, or rather the work that you're doing right now as a founder of Imbizo Foundation? Just looking at the journey so far and how that moment, your journey up until now, this has taken place. You are the founder of Imbizo Foundation. You have been traveling the world. And mind you, I mean, from the men that I know you are, all based on faith. No, you're a man of faith. You're not someone who relies just on resources that they've got, but you take the step first and you know that God is going to provide for this need. So here you are. You're doing amazing work. You've been to the nations. When you think about that word, go to the nations and make disciples, and you see where you are at right now. I can't even begin to imagine the impact that has on your life.
Yeah. Well, I laughed at them, right? When they told me this is going to be my life. Guess what? 3 months later, I was living in Northern Ireland. I got sponsored to go overseas and go do a Bible school. And then that Bible school, their practicals were in Rwanda and in Burundi. Within a space of 3 months, I went to 3 countries.
Preaching the gospel.
Preaching the gospel, right? After that, I finished my school. I get called now to be the speaker in the same school.
Wow.
And the organization, guess what? It's international. They have 165 campuses in the world. So would you consider to be one of our main speakers from now on?
Wow.
If they have a conference in New York, guess what? I'm there. I'm called. I've been to more than 14 countries.
Wow.
And mind you, this is not based on academics.
No.
So I was struggling at school. I failed matric 3 times. It's based on an original design that I alluded to.
Yes.
That each and every individual has an original design. Discover that original design and add academics on top of it.
Yeah.
Don't try find academics hoping you will find yourself.
It's the other way around. First find
it's
who you are.
The way around.
Your original design.
Imbizo Foundation is designed to uncover potential and see potential in others and unleash it. Everything else is an addition. Your degree is an addition, is an extension. So your degree is no longer who you are, your office is no longer who you are, but it's the methodology of which you impact the world. It's the vehicle of which you impact the world. But your identity is your content.
Yeah.
Your degree should never be your content, it should be your tool. Content comes from within. Once you discover who you are inside, the outside suddenly becomes simpler. Even though simple, not easy, it's hard.
Yeah.
Simpler. So
because you
hence
understand, you're starting to understand or figure out, the process and who you are in the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah. So that's why I always say, be careful of the word success. I want to be successful. You need to be specific. So my definition of success is when a product like this phone is fulfilling its function.
Yeah.
It is successful. It's key.
Yeah.
The day it stopped opening my car, it's no longer a success.
Yeah.
Success is a
it's
function.
Not fulfilling its function. Yeah. Yeah.
You do not acquire success. You identify success within you.
Wow.
It's not external. That's why I always say there will never be external transformation in your life unless there's internal transformation. They can give an RDP house, you take the windows and sell them.
Wow.
Because RDP hasn't happened inside. So we need to reconstruct.
I like that because RDP has not happened inside.
It happened.
Yeah.
Reconstruction development program. It's you need to reconstruct yourself within. So Imbizo is meant to reconstruct people from within. So the world has told us, in order to be successful, go get this, go do this, go do that. Are you noticing that it's all outside?
Yeah,
if I have
all
external. If I have a money, if I have a job, we were not meant to be employed, we were meant to be deployed. So people think the day I'm employed, I'll be happy. No, seek to be deployed first. Discover what is it that you can be sent to into a mission. So some of us can have jobs, but it's not a job, it's deployment. You can serve a boss. Your salary may not be pleasing to you, but your function is very pleasing.
Yeah, and that's what brings meaning and impact, doesn't it, Ntogo?
Yeah. So some people don't have a job, but they have work.
Yes, you often refer to that. I like that.
So work is always there.
Yeah.
So Imbizo is really, we try to invest in tomorrow's generation today by helping them discover who they are so they can emerge from their situation and learn to collaborate with others. Then success happens.
Oh, yes.
So success is the last thing we talk about. Because if I talk to you about success and acquiring things and you don't even know who you are, success is going to kill you.
Yeah.
You don't have a job today. I give you a job from 0 rands to 5,500. You had 0. Now you're 1,000 here. You're not a millionaire yet. But suddenly your bank balance looks different.
Yeah.
Different. I didn't know you used to drink Castle Lager. Now you drink Hennessy. You can afford your bad habit. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes people get money to afford more bad habits. So Imbizo doesn't give opportunity, but it gives identity, so you'll understand how to use opportunities.
That is incredible. I need to just take that in. Imbizo does not provide opportunity, it provides identity or the discovery thereof so that you can find the opportunity.
The opportunities.
I like that. You sent me a quote earlier on. Actually, it's not a quote. This is something that is a principle and you live by it. Yeah. And you just touched on it right now when you're speaking about transformation, which, I mean, I'm just blown away by that. And if you just happen to join us right now, you are on Rise Above and Flourish with me, Francine. I'm chatting to Ntogo Shange. He's the founder of Imbizo Foundation. And Ntogo, this is what you said. External transformation begins with internal transformation. Individuals, corporations, and nations will change when we master this principle of washing the cup inside first. Yeah. So we wash inside the cup first before we go to the outside. And I mean, you've just been talking about how most of the time we focus on external things instead of focusing on doing the internal work so that we are transformed. Talk to me more about that. I'm just also thinking about, the Bible talks about the fact that we need to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. What you are saying now, is that also built on that? What the Bible says about being transformed. How does transformation happen? If I say to myself, I want to start the work within. I want to stop looking to external things or making them a priority. I want to do the internal work. Where do I begin? Does it begin with doing, renewing my mind, as the Bible speaks about that? Where do I start? If I'm here and I'm supposed to tell me, hey, you need to stop focusing on the external stuff and start doing the internal work before you can go out there and find the opportunity to make an impact.
Yeah, no, that is a very good question. So I always say you will never rise above beyond your imagination. What you imagine yourself is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So
that's true.
So this original design concepts is simple. Whenever you find things that are not going well in your life, there's always a source. I need you to track back and go ask the manufacturer that deployed you here on earth.
Yeah. So
that
whenever things are not going well in my life, I need to go back to the source, to the manufacturer, and find out where's the glitch, what's going on.
There's a warranty and a guarantee of this phone. Samsung bets their name this is going to work. If it doesn't work, bring it back. We'll fix it free of charge because we are proud of our products.
Yeah.
So every product that is on earth must have a warranty and a guarantee. Before a product is released in public, it's either an iPhone or a car, it must be tested, and then it must be certified.
Yeah.
And then it must be approved.
Yes. Quality.
So you've been tested before you come here on earth. You've been certified and you've been approved.
Oh. Wow.
So if there's a glitch now to a product that is you, a software is malfunctioning, the warranty says send us back. This will come with a manual. You know what to do when your Samsung glitch.
Yeah, because you've got the manual.
No products that works on planet Earth doesn't have a manuals and a T's and C's. So sometimes you want to bypass the manual of a human being and ask somebody else without asking the manual that a human being came with.
Wow.
So I'll pause there so you know which manual you go to each individual. If it's TikTok, go for it.
No, but see, that's the problem. That's the problem, isn't it? This is what we're talking about. The fact that we focus so much on the outside. We focus on social media. We focus on validation from other people instead of going to the creator and saying, hey, you made me. So talk to me about where I'm at right now. Where do you want me to be? Where have you positioned me to be? For me, that's what going to the source means.
Yep, definitely. So how do I transform the inside? So like any phone, if the software is glitching, we send it to the resource.
Oh, yes.
So it's always, so that is I'm unapologetic with that. A human being is first a spirit being, possessing a soul, living in a body.
We agree.
So that is first and foremost.
Yeah.
So then the internal for me talks about the spirit set of a human being.
Yeah.
So because have you ever woken up, you are so happy, but man, you're so broke. You don't know why. And the bills are stacking up.
Been there, done that.
Here's the thing. That is your spirit self showing itself that I was made for joy. So now, how do I sustain this feeling that is going to last for an hour? It's always going back to the source. That is where the internal transformation comes in.
That's powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, that is, it does not work. I go and I've spoken to communities that doesn't believe in the same faith as me.
Yeah.
I always talk about the spirit sex, the mind sex, the heart sex, and the body sex. But start the spirit sex, your foundations.
Yeah, that's the foundation.
That for me is the internal transformation. It's first identifying that you are an original design. You're not even a limited edition. There will never be anyone like you. So do not waste this resource that you are.
Oh, yes.
If you're confused about who you are, go back to the original manufacturer.
Yeah. And then the manual will be pulled out so that you can know what you were designed to be and do.
You are fearfully and wonderfully made. For I know the plans I have for you, plans not to harm you, to prosper you, to give you a hope and to give you a future. So then so for those who knows, they know. Now they you know, they're going there. You know?
Yes.
For those who know, they
know where to find it.
So if anything is not good in your life, that means God is not there. Because my manual, in the beginning, there was God.
Yeah.
And the earth was without form.
Yes.
It was dark.
Yes.
And he said, then let there be light.
Yeah. And
so if there's no light in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's no light in your life, ask your manufacturer
to the one who
speak
first spoke and said, let there be light.
You know? So when he created the vegetation and the animals, he ended the sentence by saying, it is good.
Yes.
If it's not good, God is not done.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you were meant to be good. Good is not behavior. Good is you are fulfilling your calling, your original design. The tree is good because it's bearing fruit. It is not perfect. Some branches, they will fall and they will wither. Good does not speak of perfection. Good speaks of fulfilling, multiply, subdue.
You're getting so excited.
So if there's no fruits in your life, go to the manufacturer and say, hey, my phone is not sending emails it's supposed to. They will apologize and fix it.
I imagine as well, I mean, you're talking about if you're not bearing fruit. Now, for a tree to bear fruit, obviously it has to be connected, right? And it even goes back to the roots and getting nourishment, just really, once again, being connected to the source and figuring out where did you lose it, why you're not bearing fruit, so that can be rectified for you to actually start bearing fruit. Can we just link this? Because for me, this is what living a purpose-driven life is about. You're talking about an original design. You once said something to me in Togo, and I'm trying to remember exactly word for word, although I don't think I can. But you were talking about how unfortunately, in the time that we're living in, a lot of us, it's easy for people to get confused, to not know what their calling is, to not know what the original design is all about, what they were meant to be and do. And then you spoke about the fact that if you want to start knowing what you've been called to do, what your purpose is, you have to just identify. Yes. Oh, you're doing that. I like that. And you spoke about compassion. What is your compassion? What are the things that you're compassionate about? Where are you being drawn to? And I'd like you to just touch on that a bit, because if I am at a place where I'm taking Togo's advice, I'm going back to the manufacturer, and just doing that internal work to be transformed. Part of it being for me to discover or to rediscover, my design or my purpose on this earth, and where I'm supposed to be positioned and where I'm supposed to go, right? you just touch on this part about compassion and following your compassion so that you can start identifying what you've been placed here to do.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm a big fan of personal mastery. It is a fancy word that we use in the field that I'm in of people development. Some people develop cars, they create cars and all the things. I was born to develop people. So
and I know you're very passionate about that.
Yeah. I was born to remind people who they are. So I've been to a lot of conferences concerning that, and they've inspired me and they've impacted me. But somehow I always leave those conferences 90% excited and 10% confused. Where to from here?
Okay.
Where to from here?
Yeah.
How was the conference? It was amazing.
Yes.
What happened? I don't know, but something
changed. It was exciting.
And then somebody asked me, so what you going to do with what you've learned? I'm like, I don't know. So suddenly there's another invite. Come and attend 5 steps on how to activate. Again, there's another 5 steps following. And then I go to the 5 steps workshop. Again, 90% excited and another 10%
confusing.
I'm like, what is it? Until I came across a story about this man who was born to bring hope where there's hopelessness. Who was born to bring light who was born to bring hope where there's hopelessness.
Oh, yes.
Light where there's darkness. And lay his life down for others.
Oh, yeah.
I read about his stories, this carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
It said that when he began his work, he looked in the crowd and he looked amongst the crowd. And then it says he started crying. It says when he saw them, he wept. Weeping for a man. We always see women weeping when they lost and they scream their lungs out. It says this man, he wept when you look at the crowds because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Compassion.
Yeah.
And then he fulfilled that role that was making him cry. He became their shepherd.
Yeah.
What makes you cry the most is what you're supposed to do in this life.
What makes you cry the most is what you're supposed to be doing in this life. Is that what you just said?
You need to fill up that gap.
Oh, yeah.
There will be things that makes you angry. Really angry. Injustice.
Yeah.
But what makes you angry has not pushed you to tears.
Oh.
It's common anger.
Wow.
It's just common anger. It's common. Everybody hates corruption. But when you get angry about corruption that you find yourself crying, you need to be sitting. You need to be doing law some sort. You need to be the Mother Teresa. I don't know how you're gonna fill that void.
So that's part of you discovering your original design.
Yeah, anger that doesn't tend to action becomes bitterness. Everybody can be angry about the injustice, but not everybody can do something about it. What moves you to action is compassion. So what is it that you look at every day? It's almost bring you to tears or incidents. That's who you're meant to be. And then find out how am I supposed to do that. Then add education on it if you could, if there's a certificate for it.
Yes.
Mother Teresa was tired of people living on the streets and hungry. She started with one person. One person. Today we quote him. Maya Angelou struggled with self-esteem and it's made her cry.
Yeah.
As a result, she's the most prolific writer we know. You read the writings of that woman, you just like, oh my goodness.
You're moved. Yeah.
Because it's what used to make her cry.
Yeah. Wow.
So the Nelson Mandelas of this day, injustice made them angry and cry at some point, and then they did something about it. Compassion is the most powerful identifier, is the most strength finder you can find.
Yeah. Of your original design.
Of the original design. I'm a certified life coach. You can Google me in New York, I show up because I'm affiliated with some companies that does amazing things. But you know what? For me, there's no strength finder that is more powerful than compassion.
Oh, yes.
What moves your emotions? What moves you to your tears? Because then it's supposed to produce action.
Powerful.
That is the internal.
Yes.
So externally now you start acquiring skills, counseling skills, facilitation skills. But the internal is being dealt with. So I hate people to see people not having food. And I cry when everybody on a window go like this, doing signs of hungry. I do not go numb when I'm on a traffic light. I call them, hi, sissy, hi, booty. I'm sorry I don't have everything. I don't treat them like they are trees. Even though I don't have money, my compassion moves me to look them in the eye and say, I'm sorry I don't have money.
Wow.
That is the most powerful thing.
Yeah, I get it.
So your compassion will actually reveal yourself. So that's why this guy, Les Brown, he put it this way: adversity will introduce a woman or a man to themselves. When you're under pressure and you're in adversity and you start crying because life is tough, and then that's where you get introduced to yourself in adversity. Not in lavishness. You don't find yourself in comfort. You find yourself in your comfort zone. You find yourself in your own tears. Even if you're not crying for other people. But what makes you angry, what is not good in your life, you want to fix right away, right?
Yeah.
It's the same principle when you look at others. Discover what makes you cry for your own problems and what makes you cry when you see
others. Yeah. Wow.
And then that is the birth of the original design.
That is incredible.
The best strength finder you could ever, do. And it's for free and it's right now. Just go out and look at society. Take 2 hours. If you drive around, you'll see something that moves you. I would literally give you a month doing that and getting out and walking in different societies. Take a drive in a township, take a drive in a suburb. You'll see, you'll know your geographic way needs to help, and you'll know in what field you need to help. Just walk around. Be accessible to people.
Yeah.
Just walk around.
And it doesn't take too much, does it? It takes us just going out there, reaching out, and just seeing where the need is and what moves us. And then we start walking in that direction, taking the necessary action. Oh, wow. That is incredible. Well, listen, our time is up, but I am just absolutely blown away by what you were speaking about. Starting from the very beginning, when you gave us a bit of your background to that obviously led to your journey right now, where you are the founder of Imbizo Foundation, and you do the work that you do because you are moved to compassion. I especially loved when you spoke about the fact that we need to start with the internal work. We need to do just focus on the internal transformation, because when we have done that, then we discover our original design. And when we discover our original design, obviously having gone to the source, to the manufacturer, to make sure that we also open up the manual and figure out, when that is done and you start just discovering who you are in God and being positioned where you are supposed to be. I love then how we ended this off just talking about the fact that you need to understand what moves you, right? What moves you to compassion, because that will help you to discover your original design. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add, for someone who's listening out there. If you've been asking yourself, that things are a little bit misplaced. Maybe you're not where you're supposed to be, and you're trying to figure out what is wrong. I mean, how do I start fixing this thing called my life? Well, Mtogo says you need to go to the manufacturer, you need to go to the source, and then you need to discover your original design. Mtogo, any last words from your side?
I just want to say thank you for having me. And I just want to tell, so as well, whoever is listening to this, so there's hope. Yeah. There's hope. And just watch, so one thing that, anyone get away from their situation or triumph over their situation. If you feel like the environment that you're in is not hopeful, look around and try and identify people that inspire you, and then associate with them, shadow them, like that. So move away from where you are, so try and discover people that you actually aspire to, so I think it always starts by changing your crowd. Yes. One of the things for me, so what changed my trajectory, my direction where I'm going, it was for wrong reason, was that girl who led me to an environment where I ended up being, so I'm thankful for her. Yeah. By the way, she never dated me, just anyone was curious, so she saw right through me. But I'm glad she didn't.
She was just placed by God to lead you in the right direction.
So just try to find a different crowd and people that actually would feed into you, people who will affirm you, rather than attack you. So that is very important, yes. So who fans your flame, who's around you, so some of you, that there's something inside of you. You're an eagle, but you're hanging amongst chickens. Move away. So move away, so you don't have to disown them. Just take a walkabout and find other eagles. Yeah. So take a first step, identify the person that inspires you and just shadow them. So don't stalk them, do an intense research about them and shadow them, so that is the first step. For me, what helped me was to move away from where I'm at in order to discover myself and then linger. This, so not emotions, your heart. Yeah. Emotions, they're like a roller coaster, they're up and down. But your heart, your compassion, it's your true north.
Oh, yes.
Listen to your compassion. So forget about yourself just once and allow your compassion to be activated, then you'll discover who you are.
That's powerful. And that's how we ended, right? Forget about yourself just once, discover your compassion, because that will lead you to who you, actually, we should say, to your original design. Thank you so much, Mtogo. It has been absolutely wonderful speaking to you today. I really appreciate your time.
I really appreciate the invite.
Thank you. And thank you so much for listening, joining us on Rise Above and Flourish right here on Zoe Live Radio. Be sure to join us again for the next episode of Rise Above and Flourish. That's next week, Thursday at 6:00. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Rise Above and Flourish with Francine Mashabela on Zoe Live Radio.